The digital art era is here. AI and art creation tools empower anyone to make it. Blockchain technologies allow anyone to own it. VR, AR, and extended reality immerse us in it. Let's talk to artists and innovators behind the visual magic. I'm your host, Roger Dickerman. Welcome to the future of art. Today, we welcome NorCal Guy. NorCal is a considerate art collector who values original thought. He is the host of NorCal and Shill podcast. He is the founder of ClickCreate, a premium curated digital art collection. He's the founder of One Exposure, a collective art piece based around one single camera. And he is a biscuit, yes, biscuit, king and connoisseur. We get into his backstory, art collecting, brand formation, and the future of digital art. Let's get to it. NorCal Guy, welcome to the future of art.
Hey, thanks. Thank you so much for having me. And I'm so privileged and honored to be here. Thank you.
Of course, man. I feel like you're doing a million and one different things in and around the space. But before we get to any of that stuff, I want to ask you a question. What does art mean to you?
Oh, man. Art to me, I guess I have it can vary from, creating um, and expressing what you're feeling, I think is mainly, or, there could be the collecting side of it, appreciating it. So I guess I like the creating part of it. I got back into photography and just taking pictures, not necessarily that I'm doing it for the art, but that capturing the memories and everything has been awesome. Not exactly an art, but that it's getting those creative juices going. Definitely when I go to like a meeting, like say NFT NYC or Miami or LA, I will like wake up early and just walk around with my camera and just take pictures of stuff that I find interesting. So that's what I've been doing with, art kind of does for me. It's just something relaxing and helps, that alone. I enjoy it because it's like alone time to do, to process what's going on in your brain.
There's a lot of aspects because again, you're a voice in and around art. You are I would say creator, you're a builder of multiple brands, really. But let's start with the collecting angle because that's where I first crossed paths with you. And that's also what came to my brain recently with several connections. We found ourselves in the Discord of an artist that we both share an affinity for. That, of course, is the legendary Raf Grassetti. Also, in a recent release, Adil Dursun, Jarvin Art, as I
Mhm.
was reviewing all of her artworks, of course, you are her literal Genesis collector. And then there's
Uh-huh.
another artist that we have mutual respect for that is your PFP, and that, of course, is James White, Signal Noise. So with all that in mind, talk a little bit about your approach to collecting.
Oh man. So I guess it's got to be for me. I tend to stay away from the hype. I'm not afraid to just go out on my own, saying and just find what is visually appealing to me and just I have conviction in it. I'm going to buy it. Um, that's my approach. I'm not a huge FOMO guy. I know some guys like I've been like Redbeard. I love him, but he's been trying it since like the skulls were at like 15. He's like, dude, you need to get one. I was like, nah, man, I'm not gonna buy that. I feel like I'm being FOMO, trying to get FOMO me into this. I'm not buying it. And so so I'm still like, no, I'm not gonna buy one because I'm not FOMOing.
I
So
have
yeah,
so much
I'm
respect for that because I feel like I've been part of I've been part of those same conversations. We can definitely dive into skulls a little bit more too.
but along those lines, not necessarily that specific thing, but you know, we saw the PFP summer and the art block summer, and that was a lot of people FOMOing. And I don't know if it wasn't them wanting to, it was FOMOing gains basically, is what it was. And, I tend to try and be contrarian and stick to that. I'm not afraid to buy someone's first piece if I have done some research and talked to them, or figured out that I feel like they're going to be here for the long term and that they do good work. So I'm never going to be afraid of doing that. I don't need to see someone else's name on that collector base for me to buy it.
A lot of respect for that approach. Let's go a layer deeper with the three names that I mentioned, because I think they're great jump off points, is a window into your brain and what you saw in that artist
Mm,
and that artwork. And let's start with the literal Genesis piece. So let's go back to Jarvin Art, Adil Dursun.
mhm.
What did you see at that moment in time?
Oh man, I don't. It was interesting. I talked to her a little bit because she was a very fresh account. It was a young account, and there wasn't much history on her work itself. So yeah, that's the flip side. Is is this person just here for a one hit wonder, or 10 and done or whatever? So I talked to her a little bit. I don't remember if I talked to anyone else that might have known her. Maybe not. But figuring out what she was up to. She was in architecture school, and you know, decided, well, it's relatively affordable. I'm going to do it, and so that's what I did. I just like, I like it. I believe in this artist. I think she'll probably be here long term. It's not a huge risk at this price for me to get in. And then I also bought her second one too. So,
I did
and
see
yeah.
that. And I is that fun to just staying with that example, is it fun to you today to see she's obviously someone who you were right. She stuck with it. She's still here. She's pretty prolific on socials. She seems to be very convicted in her art. I find her to be a pretty amazing person, along with obviously very talented.
Right. Yeah, she's definitely stuck with it. I met her in New York. Um, and she's got a good heart. She's in it for the art. She um is not, yeah, I think she still has a day job with doing architecture stuff. I like that she's smart about it, and she's also constantly engaged in the different, or on Twitter at least, in different communities.
Let's go to James White, Signal Noise.
Yeah. Man, so I first got in, he was one of my early purchases. And I bought several of his pieces, none of his Genesis work, but I think the first one that I did buy from him was his Drive poster for the Drive movie.
Yep.
And then I got to chatting with him a lot on Twitter, and I really enjoyed our conversations, and kept on buying work from him because I really liked the vibe. I love that he is an artist, that his work. That's another thing that I like about some artists, is that they stand alone. That you can, from across the room, be like, oh, that color palette, the retro-ness of his work, be like, that's a James White piece right there. And he's just a great guy. He's so positive, um, and just enjoy his palette a lot. Like, that retro palette, the retro style. Um, yeah, and seems like, with the Barbie movie coming out and whatnot, it's like perfect.
Have you seen his shelves? His shots of his wall and his shelves?
Yes, yeah, 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 for
He's
sure.
my
He's got all his comics and his action figures and everything up there. It's awesome.
Yeah, I love when he shares that. He's my favorite guy to talk comic books with. So
Oh
my
yeah.
big shout out to James White. We're the top two in the Jay Lee artist fan club. So I love that
Oh,
I
nice.
love that it's your profile picture. Um, yeah, and again, he's someone with such rich experience too. He's been around the block and back. He's done so many incredible things. And I don't know, maybe similar to your approach as a collector, his approach to an artist seems to be very balanced and apart from the FOMO.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. He a while back, figured out what he wanted and what he really enjoyed. Like I think his saying is like neon runs through his blood or through neon runs through his veins. I think that's what he says, something along those lines. And then he's stuck with it and made it his thing. I mean, it's great to go see his work that he shows, his whips, his work in progress, and see how he goes through it, and then the color palette, and even his project, his man, I'm blanking on the name of it. The
Starcade,
battle
Starcade.
Starcade.
Yeah.
There it is. It's all that same color palette. He loves his, and I think I like that a lot about him. He loves something so much and he just sticks with it and he owns it.
Yep. He lives his aesthetic for sure. Let me torture you with one more name, the Michelangelo of digital stone, Raf Grassetti.
Oh man, he is impressive. I mean, everyone knows, well, I think everyone knows his background, but his art is just like, and I love that I love his one of ones. Um, Amazing. But I love that he did hit the meme project, his Pepe's. Like he's got that, he's not serious all the time. And he did the meme collection, and I think he's still doing that. And it's just great to go in there and see all these little the classic memes we all know from this crypto culture, but uh, sculpted and this 3D image of it. It's amazing. I haven't talked to him a lot, honestly, but I'm sure he'd be a great guy to talk to and chat with.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite people in the entire space, and obviously someone who's so wildly talented. He's off creating AAA games and
Right, right.
and doing that whole thing. But I believe, am I right that you collected Sunflower, the one of one?
Yes. Yeah.
I remember that distinctly because at the time I've collected a lot of Raf Grassetti. That's, I don't
Yeah.
think that's a secret, but at the time, I had to force myself to take a step back, and then I really enjoyed watching you in that because I actually thought that work in that era of Raf was stunning, maybe the best of that sequence. So I love seeing you get it.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. I that was a hard one for me because I tend to not spend over 5 ETH on anything. And that one, I think
This was a little more
it's
than 5 ETH.
yeah, yeah, just a little bit. But I don't know, I have a lot of conviction in him, and I really love his work. I mean, that's why besides the one I, been playing in the meme kingdom. So I enjoy his meme stuff. It's fun.
Yeah, it's a fun place to play, and it really does balance things out. And it's like if he's feeling more casual, he can always go back and sort of tap that collection and do something fun with
Right,
it.
for
And then
sure.
obviously he'll always have the more serious side to his art, which I would absolutely consider if he wants it to be on the bleeding edge of digital fine art for sure.
Right, for sure.
So with your collection in mind, what's your vision there? So I mean, we just talked about three artists. Again, a lot of respect for your thought process apart from the FOMO. But what would you like to see transpire when it comes to your own NorCal collection?
Man, that's a great question because you know, I had no thought about this long term initially. I just enjoyed collecting the art. I enjoyed the art. I enjoyed the conversations I had with these artists. And now that you have this collection, you're like, well, what do I do with this? I definitely appreciate it, but it'd be awesome to see if I could have other people appreciate it. And how that happens, I do not know yet. I feel, in the next few years, maybe it'd be awesome if galleries or museums start reaching out and be like, hey, can we, get a curated gallery or exhibition from you for, on this topic or something. And you're like, yeah, I think I can pull some pieces out for you, sort through them and give you what I think would fit there. Or if you have any recommendations that they want specifically, I think that'd be some nice way to move forward with these collections. Because I mean, it is kind of interesting because not many go back besides yourself, go back and look at that art. And unless you have it on the wall, who's seeing it? And which is unfortunate. I think if we could do something with museums or galleries or something. I mean, I've even thought about trying to see if I could do a little walk by gallery somewhere, like in an airport or something, just so it's out there on display so people can like stop and be like, huh, that's cool, or appreciate it somehow. And I don't know what the answer is, but hopefully something along those lines.
It's such a great point, and I think this is going to be talked about a lot more as these years go on because it's an issue, not an issue in a negative sense, an issue that's solvable in one way or another, but we don't have all the answers for that yet. But there are people like yourselves that have large vaults of incredible art that you're now, just going back to Jarvin art, you're now several years into her career where now she's gone on to do more things and you happen to have her original works. And you could repeat that example for many artists in your vault. It would be a beautiful thing to see that be visible externally in some fashion.
Right. No, I agree. I would love to do it somewhere. And and I guess the problem is, if you do it yourself with a gallery, you're just earning your own money to display the art. Like the one that comes up to mind because I fly in and out of Sacramento, and there is a like gallery thing there on the corner when you're going to TSA. That's like this like just little walkthrough gallery, and I'm like, oh, I wonder how much it'd be to like rent there. And like it's got to be a lot of money because all these people, there's a ton of foot traffic there. So yeah, I don't know. I wish there was a way to somehow not just lose money on displaying the art there. Some sort of mutually beneficial thing. Um, I kind of like what Schiller does with the the billboard, the moving billboard, the mobile billboards. That's pretty cool to see the art up there and people more than just the community on Twitter can see it.
I think as the respect quotient continues to change, and it very much is, and it'll cycle a little bit with the markets, but overall, I think we're on a very nice trend in terms of digital art being meeting its final destiny, which of course is to be considered art, period, and
Mhm.
then make its way out there in more visible fashion. So I feel like as that continues to happen, you may find that more of those options are knocking at your door instead of vice versa. At least that's my hope. That's what I would hope for.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that will happen at some point. People will be reaching out and be like, "Hey, we would like to do this or that. How would you think?" So yeah, I definitely think it's coming. You know, we're still a very small community.
Very much, very much. So speaking of that, pre Web3, did you have a significant interest in art? Is this a relatively new thing for you? But what was your lead up to beginning to collect here?
Oh man, I mean, so I did go to art school for like 2.5 years. Um, way back in like I'm looking at the date. Like, I think it was like 2004, 5, something like that. And then, I didn't think I was good enough, so I just completely dropped it, all of it. And before that, and then, life happens, you do different things, you go through college, finally get a degree, took too long to get, and you're like, huh. Um, I started a business with my wife and her business, and we got that going along, and at that same time is when I first got into crypto, and it was all the shitcoin trading and all that stuff. Um, and I was trying to do it while trying to do this business with my wife, and I was like, my wife's gonna if I don't if I screw anything up here, I'm gonna like we're gonna get like divorced or something. I can't do that. So and plus I was losing money trying to trade all these shit coins. So I was like, I'm just gonna dollar cost average and just buy Bitcoin and just sit on it. Just buy, set amount every month. That's it. That's all I do. So that's all I've done really, is just dollar cost average because I don't have the time to put into learning how to trade, follow the charts, stare at my phone all day, wait for alarms to go off. I'd rather enjoy my life a little more because I got kids now, especially.
And 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 for real, and I mean this very, very seriously. I mean, I started in finance and business. For 99.9% of the people, DCAing, dollar cost averaging in and out, for that matter, is
Right.
the best strategy. Even for a segment of people who think it's not for them because they are going to pay closer attention, it's still the best strategy for 99.9% of people. So I'm nodding along
Right.
with you.
Right. No, it's funny because you think you can beat everybody or beat the others and get out. I'm not going to be caught with the hot potato, but man, you get caught with the hot potato more than you think.
It's tough because you can always point to a win or maybe something goes well and you start to use that as your anchor in
Right.
your mind of, oh, I'm capable of this and I see it clearer than other. And then all of a sudden you have three duds in a row and you're back to where you started.
Right, right. It's so true. Unless you can dedicate a significant amount of your time to trading, then I wouldn't I wouldn't suggest it.
So
Yeah, I
so you're in
mean,
the
yeah.
process then of so you're shitcoin trading, you put that behind you, you go into dollar cost averaging in Bitcoin, and then when's the first time that you consider doing something on the art side, on the NFT side?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I remember I remember like oh, what was that? I was like 17, hearing about crypto kitties. And I was more of a Bitcoin maxi at this point because I lost money trading shit coins. I was like, everything else is shit. I'm not doing anything besides Bitcoin. And so that's also still my thought in 2017, oh, crypto kitties, what the hell are they doing over there on ETH? Just a shit coin. I don't know what they're doing. So I completely ignored it and, just dollar cost averaging. I was still buying ETH though. It was the only shitcoin that I was buying. um, so, but it was mid 2020, I guess. I started, hearing more about NBA Top Shots, or maybe it was later 2020. And I'm like, oh, let me read up on NFTs, what they're calling NFTs now. And read up on it, read a couple articles, and finally I'm like, oh, duh. Why didn't like I can believe in this digitally rare currency, but I couldn't believe in a digitally rare piece of art, like a signed token or whatever, however you want to describe it. And I'm like, that's dumb that I couldn't that it didn't click with me beforehand but I just thought of it as a game, with the crypto kitties. I didn't, hear about the punks or any of the art after that. Didn't know about Super Rare or OpenSea. So yeah, so I got in the NBA Top Shots and was having a blast doing that, even though I don't even watch basketball. I was just having a good time. Got some of my friends in on it, and then they kind of flooded the market with lots and lots of I don't even know what they're called now. The top shots. I forget what they call each of the individual ones. Anyways, and I was like, well, let's see what else there is out there. And then I got into art blocks, and it was just like kind of flipping those. The more I thought about it, the more I thought I was an idiot for flipping all these historical things. And so I did that, but then it started to like just be really kind of like FOMO-y, like, oh, I gotta get in this next drop. I got like it's minting out. Um, and then that's why I transitioned into one of ones, I guess, is for the relationships because with Gen Art, you don't really get to talk to the artist. You know, they're doing thousands of editions. You don't get to talk with the artist at all. It's just you talking to the other collectors, I guess. Whereas with one of one, you get to actually build a relationship with an artist if you desire.
And then with this process, when do you decide to flex these other two muscles that I want to talk about? And one of those muscles is lending your voice to the space in the form of podcasting, in the form of speaking out
Mm,
and talking about different things and featuring creators and leaning into these kinds of things. And then of course the other side to that is building real businesses. I want to
mm.
talk a little bit about One Exposure. I want to talk about ClickCreate. So take it either way, knowing we'll get to both eventually, either your voice or your businesses.
Yeah, I'll go with the voice because I mean that was first. I so that was like September of 2021. I was I was been thinking about it all summer. I don't like long form, like these multiple hour podcasts, like over an hour. I'm like, I have kids. I'm not going to be sitting here with this podcast on, cursing and whatnot with my kids, like running around. I don't like to have earbuds in my ears all day. And so I was like, you know what I would like is a short form, um, get to know the artist type questions that kind of give insight into who the artist is and just kind of lighthearted, not too serious. And so I was like, I'll just do it. And did it. And it's been a great time. I enjoy all those interviews. It's been fun interviewing all these artists, getting to know them on, that level and just sharing, a little bit of their who they are to everybody. I Episode 101 is coming out tomorrow, the 10th. So yeah, it's been a good run so far. It's been fun.
Congratulations. So we're kindred spirits. We've both picked up a mic. I think we both care
Right.
about featuring creators in our own different ways, but definitely for the same purpose. And
Yeah.
appreciate you lending your voice to that because when like I started a little bit before you, but not that much before you, but there was nothing. There was absolutely
Right.
nothing
Right.
at the time, and it was I want context and story and a platform. And so when that was NFT origin stories at the time, but launching that, there wasn't this, oh, now this is my street corner. Now I have this show. It was like, no, we need more of this. Like we need more different people, different voices, but all sort of driving in this direction. So seeing someone like yourself launch, and I'd like you to talk a little bit more specifically, give title, give the drill downs. You're going into episode 101, but yeah, seeing you launch that has been a pleasure.
Thanks. Thanks. Yeah. No, I mean, it's great. I enjoy it. It's funny how sometimes it feels like a grind because you're like every week. I mean, it's funny. I was talking to Buna about, podcasting. I think it's like only something you can like really appreciate what others are doing when you've done it yourself or are doing it yourself. Because, me and you care more about the audio and this and that than anyone else ever cares about or notices. And it's always, it's just funny. A lot of respect for you and the other podcasters because it's a lot of work. It's a lot more work than people realize.
No doubt. No doubt. So talk the show up. Give pun intended, show the show real quick.
Oh, yeah, yeah. NorCal and Shill. It's a one on one interview with artists, and now collectors have been added. It's more of a lighthearted show with questions, giving insight into hopefully who the artist is, and they're relatively short, about half an hour on average. Um, just something that was easy to digest for people is what I was going for.
And all networks, what network would you recommend if someone was checking it out for the first time?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, everyone's got Spotify. It's on
Perfect. Beautiful.
Spotify.
All right, love it. Go check it out. So episode 101 again. Congrats on that. Huge
Thanks.
milestone. Huge milestone. Um, so let's go to the other side now. Let's go to the other side because you've done some
Yeah.
really interesting stuff. Actually, let's start with one exposure because
Uh-huh.
when you began that project, it was clear that you'd thought about a unique concept. I remember sort of reading through the whole thing, sort of witnessing how it all launched, and it's gone on to do some interesting things since. But yeah, talk about that inception.
Yeah, that's funny. 'Cause my daughter was maybe 3 or so, 3 and a half when I think when that started to happen. So I had gotten a camera myself, um, and was really enjoying it. Now my daughter was wanting to play with it, and so I'm like, "What kind of camera can I get for her that's like this digital camera, but also can print?" Because I know the Fujiroid stuff. But I didn't like those because the original ones, because every picture you have to print it. And there's no digital. But this one is also it's a Fujiroid, but it's a digital camera, and then you selectively can print what you want off of it. Um, so I got that, and I was like playing with it, and I was like, this could be an interesting idea because it's digital, and you're not going to be burning through film. You're just going to print the ones that you want, to have like a signed physical, small physical for people to get, and then you auction off the digital as an NFT. I thought it'd be a fun project to have that physical, digital combined that are the same, and then this camera that gets passed around from each auction winner, and each person draws on the camera case, and so it's just been a fun project. I mean, I was expecting it to go faster initially, but, I actually like the pace that it's going now. It's like every 2 months on average right now, I think. But, it's a nice pace. It's been fun to see what people are doing with it. It's been to Singapore now twice, and Vancouver, and Arizona. Um, yeah, it's been fun. It's been a fun little project so far. And,
What
it always starts at the auctions always start at 0.069, so there's always a little bit of fun for everyone to just start the auction. Like, it's like, I feel like everyone wants to get in there and start the auction first. It's been fun.
what are a few of the highlight shots?
Oh, man. So, Ruben Wu, that one was a solid one. Because the challenge is also because you can't do any post-processing on it. It has to be all in camera. So he's known for his drone light painting, and he couldn't do that with this camera. It only has a certain amount of shutter speeds, and so but he's like snow. It reflects a lot of light. Let's go out to Tahoe. It dumped so much snow this last year out there. So he invited me out to Tahoe to come snowshoe with him, and we went and shot this thing. Well, I didn't shoot it. He shot it, but I was there for it. And it was a great time. I had a great time with that one. And then also this last one was pretty fun to watch was Fuck Render had it. He took it out to a glacier and an cave, and he shot his sculpture, the chain link, um, in an ice cave there, and made a awesome little promo video for it. And now it's gone to Eric in Montreal, and I can't wait to see what they do it, because I know he's also known for his light painting, and he also got that studio with like 300 cameras in a circle for those matrix shots. So yeah, it's gonna be a fun one. This next one to see what he does.
It's been a pleasure to witness. And just to back up one step and go back to Fuck Render, am I correct that the massive chain link that he brought, is that still there? Did that get smashed up?
Oh no, I don't. I know. I think so. He has it. It's not that he didn't leave it there. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, well, I guess did something happen to it? Am I misremembering that?
He he off no, no, he offered, he's like, "Hey, in the last, like, 20 minutes," he said, "if it sells over a certain amount, you get the chain link too."
Yeah.
And but it didn't end up selling over, I think he said to over 10 ETH, and then he'd mail whoever wanted the chain link, but it didn't go over that.
He's doing such interesting physical expression,
Yeah, for
really
sure.
exploring a number of horizons. But and what's so interesting about one exposure is that it's getting into artists' hands specifically. I mean, I don't know,
Mhm.
was that a question in your mind? Were you wondering sort of how it would go, whether collectors would be aspiring artists and collect it with the intent to shoot, or whether it would go from artist to artist?
Right, so that's a great question. I mean, it's I didn't I thinking about it, it was like, I didn't think it was gonna go to where it went initially. And then, I now thinking about it, like, yeah, it's kind of like ebb and flow with the prices. A good artist gets it, a collector's like, oh, I want his piece. Um, but it's been fun to see what the collectors, come up with, because now they have to think about it, think what something about how they're going to make it unique to them. So like when Artie did it, he, was trying to basically destroy the film in the camera so it would shoot like this white frame instead of the dark picture that he took. So he exposed it to the freezer, to the heat, to he threw it around the track and whatnot. So it was fun. He put his own spin on it. So it's been interesting and a great process to watch how people are doing themselves in this camera.
There's been a lot of talk recently, and Dave Krugman's talked about it some. Vince Van Doe recently talked about it some. But it's this idea of using blockchain as canvas, right? Really
Mm.
expanding the mind and looking at all the diverse components of what's actually possible. I would say, you treated that idea as a canvas, and you really looked at a lot of different aspects. And my favorite one, I think, is linking it from person to person to person, and that thoughtfulness, how it expresses itself on the camera, on literally the camera, and then obviously from collector to collector and photograph to photograph. I think that's something that it's one of those things I could see standing the test of time, where people look back and it's created this unique chain of 50 people when all is said and done. Who knows?
Right, right.
It's going to be a pretty cool legacy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool. I mean, it's all tied together. It's got the camera tying it together, it's got the Polaroid frame tying it all together. It's a very cohesive project.
Camera at Christie's one day.
Maybe.
It'd
That'd be hilarious.
be great to see. So let's pivot over to ClickCreate. ClickCreate, I mean, it feels natural from outside looking in. It feels natural for you. Again, as someone who is so thoughtful, is so apart from the FOMO, is so willing to take chances on different artists with a cohesive thought process to birth a brand that values the artist and values the curative process. It again feels organic.
Yeah, it came out of Clutch and I. We had our show that we were doing, NorCal and Clutch, and we had an episode when we were in Miami last year talking about curated editions. And so we were just like, after that show, we were like thinking about it a lot. We are like, I think it could be done better and more caring and thoughtful, like where it doesn't get old. Because I think that has a potential issue when you're just making a certain style, like frogs, Pepes. I love the Pepes. Don't get me wrong. I'm like a big bag holder, but and that's not for everybody. And memes isn't for everybody. Um, so we were trying to figure out how you could do something that was art focused, that was about the art, and so that's where Click Create came in. We wanted a curated edition project that people would want to collect, that they appreciated the art and was unique somehow. And so that uniqueness, I guess, is in two parts, that it's a decentralized curation where we have guest curators every month selecting artists for each week of that month, but they each month is cohesive. So the artist or the curator, I should say, selects a theme or a prompt for that month. So it all ties together. So when you're looking at like the whole click create thing, you're like, oh, okay, this month was you can kind of tell like these are tied together. This next month, this is the next month here because these are all tied together. Like last month we had Grant Yoon was our curator and he did neighborhoods and each of those artists, had their own version of a neighborhood and it tied together perfectly. Um, and that's what we wanted to do. That was like, as I think Coldy said it. I'm trying to figure out what he said exactly. Who said it was like a vault collection for the masses. Um, we wanted something that was well thought about, well curated, and top artists, and not just specifically, artists that we know, because that's the problem with having like say people at the top making the decisions like with I don't know a specific one, but for us myself, if it was just me and Clutch making those decisions on who the artists are each month, it's only people that we know. And the issue there is, there's so many people even outside of who we know, and decentralizing that curation, having these artists come in and curate for us. We've been introduced to so many artists that I didn't know beforehand, and now I do know who they are. And same with the people in our community. They're like, "Hey, I didn't know about this artist beforehand. Thanks for introducing me to this artist and bringing their art to my eyes and to my collection now."
Amazing. And talk about the traits, some unique traits for some of these artworks.
The unique traits. Oh, like I mean, like so like as far as the metadata,
Yes.
we ask we have like fun stuff like who your current, bag holder is, who's an artist that you admire, have you made a meme, have you made a Pepe, um, favorite I think do we have a favorite food one on there or animal? We might have an animal one on there. So all those are traits for each of these art pieces that it's just like fun things to have on there, and who knows what it'll do one day, but it's just funny to have all these different things about the artist on the art itself.
Yeah, and it's nice to have that in the metadata. I thought that was just a nice touch. Chef's kiss.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks.
So, NorCal, I want to broaden out a little bit here to the state of art. And you can go as space specific as you want. You can go personal. Again, you can go outward facing. But if I just gave you the North Star of the future of art, where do you think we're going from here?
Oh, yeah, that's an easy one. Um, man. Oh, I don't know. I think it'd be interesting when these AR glasses come out. That could add a different aspect to all of this to be able to, and that might, solve our problem or not our problem, but one of those things where you're like, oh, I could throw up um, a gallery right here and people walking through potentially could see it if they have like, whatever turned on their augmented reality glasses. So that's kind of something interesting to think about, something along those lines. I kind of thought it was interesting, was it Super World app, um, where you could like buy different parts of the world in their app, and like if people were on that app, could see, what you did on your land in that app or whatever. Like you potentially could buy parts of an airport, high traffic areas, and then put stuff up in the airport, I guess, I've not used it, so I don't know specifically. But, something along those lines, put something in, and if someone threw up, even, on your phone now, you could like, "Oh, I wonder what if someone did anything in augment in AR on my," and throw your phone up and be like, "Look around and see if someone did." So that could be something interesting in the future. I don't know about VR quite yet. I mean, we're almost there too with VR, where it's the goggles or glasses are getting much better. Um, I had the Oculus 2, I think it was, and it's awesome. I love playing with it, but it's still too pixelated to appreciate this. But I guess the flip side with VR is, it's very singular. It's by yourself in your house. I mean, yes, you can do stuff online with people, um, but I think AR right now is something better in the future. Um, yeah.
Well, you're singing to my heart and soul with AR. I think you know that. But the expression of it in mixed reality or extended reality is just something that's endlessly fascinating when when the hardware gets, I mean, both accessible and wearable enough, and
Mhm,
it is
mhm.
incorporated, it opens up so many doors, like you said, for all of what we're talking about here. Whether you're talking about, it doesn't matter, 2D digital art or 3D digital sculptures, like it all plays there, and it's going to play in some really interesting ways.
Yeah, like, I remember talking with, Maritza, I forget her last name, in Miami. She was asking about some little gallery, and I was like, "Man, it'd be so cool to have an AR gallery where you, like, walk in, you put on the glasses, and, some of it's actually on the wall, some of it's not there. I mean, it's in your glasses, but not on the wall, or it's in the middle of the air. You got, like, and you can interact with it. Like, it'd be, like, the coolest gallery to go to with these AR glasses. I can't wait for someone to do something like that, or where we have it, the technology, so we can do all that relatively easy. It'd be amazing with it, because you could have like your projecting on the wall, you could have physical, you have your AR, like all of that mixed together, and then you're like, I don't know which is real, which is in my AR, what's pixel mapping, like all sorts of crazy stuff. And it'd be cool to have it all in one little gallery doing. I don't. Who knows what it would be? It just like be this crazy interactive experience.
Yeah, imagine a physical gallery that had nothing in it. It was all it was a blank canvas that
Oh
you
yeah,
walked in with your hardware, and you'd be able to toggle through exhibits. So you'd be able to walk through multiple exhibits, pick
right.
your favorite, and then just sit there immersed in it completely.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. It'd be cool to have something like that. I think people would enjoy it more than they realize.
It's all coming. It's all coming,
Yeah,
and we
for
can't
sure.
wait, man. We can't wait. You have a few Artifacts 3D sculptures.
I know, I do, and I'm like, I need to sit down and figure out what I don't have because I want to get all of them. And I think I've bought them with 2 different wallets, and that's the issue. I need to, like, go through and, compare, like, what do I have, what do I not have, and just finish it, finish the
well,
collection.
Well, man, what makes me so excited about that? I mean, I'm saying with what you have now, no pressure to
Yeah.
do anything else. But for some, hearing where your mind is going into the future, being able to even just give you and show you with those objects that you have in your wallet, that you can then take that into the Apple ecosystem and into the Epic Games
Right,
ecosystem, like
right,
just being able to hand that to you and say like, hey, you're awesome, you have this sculpture, now go see it fly in these ecosystems. And as those
right.
ecosystems get better and more accessible, it just gets more brain breaking.
Yeah. No, I agree. I love I and that's it's funny. I think that's like one of the most underrated things is the GLB files to like be able to do stuff with. Like you can use them in on cyber, like have this statue in the middle of the room, or on a pedestal, make it small. You could just, it's a really cool aspect of this space that I don't know, for some reason, like 3D and sculpture isn't like I guess it would be I don't know, and that's I guess it's not specific. It's like just being able to have those GLB files and do stuff with them. I think more. I wish more was happening with that, and more people made them because I think you could do some really cool stuff with them. Um, and yeah, underrated.
Apple's coming, man. Apple's coming. A lot of times
Yeah,
it's going to be that proven UI UX, user experience company that comes in. And I think they're probably the best candidate in the world for it, where
yeah,
they grab it, they iterate that hardware really, really fast. And then within a year or two, we're looking at something completely different.
for sure. Oh, for sure. Yeah, right.
I'd be remiss, my friend, if I did not ask you about biscuits.
Man, it's funny. That started out during the pandemic only because like my sister made a batch first, and shared it like in the family chat. And then my mom made a batch, and then I was like, it's not that hard. And then I made a batch, and then I was the only one that continued to make batches like every week. And then I was like, I think it could be better if I did a little bit of this, did a little bit of that. Um, and just worked on the recipe to how I liked it. And not that it's like a complicated recipe, it's so simple. Um, and then, it just became my like weekly good morning post. So, and then now, last year in Miami, I was like, I'll invite some people over to make some biscuits for them. And so I did that like 2 mornings, and then we did it in New York. And, it's just, I guess, becoming like this little fun little what would I say it, just a little event to do that's more personal than and not and chill.
I've
Yeah.
had the pleasure of having one NorCal Guy biscuit, but as per your words, it was a quote unquote bad batch. Now personally attest, I can personally attest that it was not a bad batch, but maybe not up to your standards. So I'm excited to one day get the fluffy goodness of the
uh,
perfect one.
I know. So the funny thing about that batch was that because I was like, we were heading over to do that podcast, and I had DoorDash the stuff, so we'd get there, and they bought. I asked for, I told them to get butter, and they ended up getting like margarine type butter, like or olive oil type butter, and I was like, oh, I don't know if I can make this work, but I'll try. And the butter just blended in, and so you can't like, and it turned the batter into like, and it was just weird. I had because you're supposed to use real butter. Anyways, so I ended up making drop biscuits. So they weren't layered or fluffy. I mean, they were fluffy, but they weren't layered. So you couldn't like peel the layers off one by one. But they were still, I mean, yeah, they were good, but they were not layered biscuits that I normally make.
But well, when that drop biscuit batch came out, I was sprinting out of the house to catch a taxi to another
Oh
event.
yeah, yeah.
And I remember eating I ate it in the taxi and took a photo of it. And yeah, man, it was great. So thank you for that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we'll have to have you over for a good one that I'm known for.
Love it, man. Love it. So NorCal, who should be on the future of art? If there's
Ooh,
one person that comes to your mind, who do you think it should be?
one.
Or two?
You know, I like Clutch, and I think he would be a good one, and Pravin.
That's the second Pravin recommendation I've received in the past 2 weeks.
Pravin has his ear on the ground. He knows the community and the trends, and I don't know. He's fun. He's a good one to talk to a lot. I enjoy him a lot, and so him and Clutch. I think Clutch has some good insights. Coming from Web 2, um, he's built himself he has a nice company there, and he's coming to Web 3, and he's got good ideas. Um, so I think both of them would be solid people to have on the show.
Great recommendations. Pass some flowers to Clutch and to Pravin. And again, second time in 2 weeks. That's a good trend. That's a good trend.
For sure, for sure.
So NorCal, what are your eyes on? I know you're obviously, one exposure is continuing at its own pace. ClickCreate is in progress, right? Current
Yeah,
curative
yeah,
event. I believe it's fungible now. Yes.
yeah. It's his month just started. His first drop opened today, and then yeah, but every week, yeah.
Amazing. So we'll keep our eyes on that. What else? What else are you doing and or keeping your eyes on as the summer comes to an end?
Oh man, I don't know. Just get some shut eye on my side. Um, man, I don't know. You know what? Marfa is coming up, so I will be going to Marfa. Are you going to Marfa?
Unfortunately, no.
Oh,
We're back
that's
northeast now.
okay.
So
Okay.
new location for the family. So I'm trying to take a little
Yeah.
bit of a transportation gap.
Right. Right. So that's it. Marfa, and then Miami. Hopefully, Miami. That's it. That's all I got. I don't. Hopefully, not nothing else between those days, those events. I need to stay home and get some rest.
Well, in between the events and even during, where can people find you? Where would you like to send people? To your socials, to your projects?
Oh, I mean, so I guess probably the first would be Guy NorCal on Twitter. Um, it's Click Mint Pass on Twitter for the camera project, the one exposure, and then Click Create is Click Create IO on Twitter. So those are the main ones. And NorCal and Shill. Almost
Let's
forgot
go.
about that one. But yeah, I mean that's it. They're all in my bio on Twitter. So if you just remember at Guy NorCal, it's all there. And yeah, I'm around
Let's
all the
go, man.
time.
Well, hey, this is an absolute pleasure. I know you have a lot of things to do in a given day, so appreciate you taking the time. I would highly suggest for listeners, if you're just interested in Web3 art history, crypto art history, as it were, I bet if you get out there into the collections or you get out there into the portfolios of a lot of different artists, you just might see this guy as one of those OG collectors. So a lot of appreciation for your taste, your approach, curation, and voice. Thank you, man.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate what you're doing here, and I appreciate you inviting me to be a guest.
Thank you for listening and for being part of the future of art. If you liked the episode, please rate, review, and subscribe on your favorite platform, and onward to the many conversations that await us. The Future of Art is produced by Artifex. Artifex, Artifex, was created to honor today's top digital fine artists in 3 dimensions. Each artist's one-of-one work of art becomes a collectible 3D sculpture and centerpiece of an immersive world built in Unreal Engine, the creation tool of Epic Games. Search Artifex Viewer on Apple and download our brand new free app to experience the sculptures in augmented reality. And visit artifex.art/unreal to literally step inside the art on your browser.